With these words of welcome and insights from our esteemed guests, we would like to officially inaugurate the Global Business and Impact Ecosystem Forum. Over the next 2 days, we invite you to engage in dynamic panels and workshops. Additionally, on the mornings of Thursday, the February 20th, and Friday, February 21st, the organizing team is offering field visits to explore environmental and social impact enterprises in New Delhi and Gurgaon. If you wish to participate, please connect with the ECHOS team or any member of the Latin American delegation. I would now request our dear crowd to settle down so that we can begin our first panel for the day. For the first panel, we will now begin with the first panel of the morning, titled Bridging Three Continents, Opportunities Across India, Latam, and the UK. This discussion will explore the immense potential of collaboration between India, Latin America, and the United Kingdom, highlighting contextual similarities, emerging markets, and the mutual benefits of cross-continental partnerships. I would now like to invite upon the dais our panel, starting with our moderator, Mr. Parul Soni, Founder and Secretary General, ABWCI. Welcome, sir. Our panelists of the day are Arun Nair, Adjunct Fellow, RIS, Research and Information System for Developing Countries. Sir, welcome. Mr. Jorge Loyola, Chilean Trade Commissioner to India, ProChile. We welcome you on the dais. Mr. Ricardo Daniel Delgado Munoz, Head of Commercial Tourism Promotion, Embassy of Mexico. Ms. Kaustubhi Harit, Program Manager in Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO. I will now ask our moderator of the panel one to take over. Thank you, sir.
I want to thank everyone today. It was such an honor for us, first of all, to listen to Jessica. And Jessica was so great when she spoke about the whole historical perspective of how she brought this entire program in action from 2017. You know, both Jessica and Virginia, I should not miss Virginia. You are very special because Virginia has spent now more than a month with me in my office, you know, collaborating, thinking, discussing the plan of action, who should we call, all that. And what you see today from the morning was a select few. You know, we had Secretary, Government of India. It's a very high position, you know, and you should, as people coming from outside should know. It's like the government has the executive, the political, and the judiciary. So from the executive side of it, that's the number one position as such. And then we had, you know, Mrs. Smriti Irani, a distinguished speaker, and you know, you have seen the numbers she had shown and all that. So now, why I said I gave you the context was, we have another very great session today. And that session you will really enjoy because I really feel that all of my panelists, my speakers, are not good looking, but also very smart when they speak, okay? So I had a session yesterday with them, and I was very, very happy to see that they will bring the whole emphasis of how we should look at trade, commerce, working on sustainability, impact, and looking at how we can bring this value of being together between India, and I should say, when you speak about Latin America, I should speak about South Asia. Because India is very, very important when it comes to South Asia. It's a subcontinent. And when we talk about Latin America, it's basically a huge group of countries which people sometimes don't understand. Because I went to Mexico, I thought I should just hop in and I should go to Argentina. I spoke to Grace I called Grace. I said, Grace, I'm in Mexico. Can I come to Argentina? She was thinking that, you know what this man was saying, it will take some time to come to Argentina, you know. It is not like, you know, for us going to Nepal or to Bangladesh, you know, in few hours, you know, less than 2 hours we will be in Bangladesh, all that. So not taking much time, I'm really thrilled that we have, you know, Ankur with us, Kaustubhi, Ricardo, and also you know, our representing embassy today. But my question to all of you, you know, we'll have 3 sets of questions. First, the opening question is on the whole thought process that, you know, how we are looking at trade. So I will first, let me start with Kaustubhi, you, because, you know, starting from you will give a different perspective of trade, investment and all that. Kaustubhi comes from the British High Commission. So my question to you is, when you look at investment and you are sitting on a large investment portfolio and you are investing in startups which are green, which are impactful, sustainable, and also looking at all that aspects, I want to understand from you, how are you looking at, one, identification of these startups? Because coming from UK and bringing the UK money into India and investing, that's one thing we want to understand from you. And also want to understand, when you invest, what do you look in these startups and things like that? So, you know, to you, and then we have a mic. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. I was just looking for that mic because I never stand.
Hello. A very good morning to everybody, and thank you so much for. Thank you for your time this morning to join all of us, and it is incredibly valuable for me to be here. I represent the British High Commission as the Inclusion and Sustainability Lead. We, along with several other things that the British government does in India, one of our key departments is into one of our key works that we do in India is doing investments in underserved sectors, that have high potential. Now these are, between tech, climate, and in sub-sectors of technology, we can talk about agri-tech, health tech, and fintech. So British High Commission has a legacy of 10 years of doing investments in India, along with Government of India and government-backed institutions like SBI, SIDBI, and NIIF. We have some very big flagship programs like Green Growth Equity Fund, where we promote startups, with very innovative technology to flourish. And it is not just only economical advantages for both the nations, but also creating a larger impact in terms of providing employment opportunities, creating women entrepreneurs. We also want to focus on creating, entrepreneurs with disabilities. And we have done several technical assistance programs in the past to promote this agenda. One of the main aims of our work is also to showcase what we do, which also then attracts the future investors to mobilize finance into those investments that we do in the country. Some of the examples of, the UK-India corridor I would like to talk about is, we had invested in an organization that actually grew and it acquired companies back in UK. So that's also very aspirational and something, for a lot of Indian startups to see. We invest in companies, which have a very strong potential of not only growing economically, but also has an intent, to have women on board, women at senior leadership roles, which is really rare in the Indian ecosystem. There are about 30% of the entrepreneurs worldwide which are owned by women, so the rest 70 is men. So there is actually a gap, which can be fulfilled, between these nations. And only 4% of the entrepreneurs or enterprises owned by women get access to finance. Can you believe that? Only 4%. There is a very, very big gap. While I would say India is rising in terms of providing more opportunities to women, we have had instances in the last 2 years where the fundings for women have increased, but there is a huge gap that still needs to be filled. So we as an organization are continuously thriving to work on this agenda. Thank you.
Kaustubhi, great. You spoke about the corridor and all, and I also want to give the figures for the people when it comes to really millions. We are basically 8 billion people worldwide. Out of 8 billion, 3.95 billion are women. Out of that, only 134 million are in business. Out of 136 million, 94 million are in business for only 2 to 3 years. So if you look at the maths, only 40 million women worldwide are in business for more than 10 years. And when you look at accessibility on access to finance, access to market, access to entrepreneurial ecosystem, and also on IT, it's a huge issue, because what we talk about information technology, that's basically not really helping the women in business as such. And why I'm saying is because ABWCI works on all these challenges worldwide. We are in 40 countries right now, and we are basically working with ecosystem partners to look at how we can bring more value as that. So that's the collaboration we can have with FCDO and all that. And I think it thanks to ECOS and also to our partners that we will be, looking at. Now, Arun, to you, from the perspective of research, technology, and also bringing this value. In the morning session, inaugural session, Ambassador spoke about the whole issue is that there is a huge potential, because if you look at population, we have the population in Asia. Latin America has, you can say, agriculture and many other aspects which we can bring in. As we were discussing yesterday, how can we bridge the research and technology and looking at the gap and these two, I can say, continents come closer when it comes to trade, technology, and all that. So that's the question more for you, and then we can discuss more on these aspects.
Good morning to everyone. Thanks, Parul. It was a fantastic, event on one of my, favorite subjects on social enterprises and impact investment. I think first of all, I want to thank Jessica, Virginia, Parul, of course, and Professor Sachin at RIS for giving me this opportunity. So, great to be amongst everyone here. So, if you look at, I first came across ECOS actually when we at RIS when we were doing, some research on social enterprises, social stock exchange, and impact investment. This was before India, of course, brought out this, regulatory mechanism on social stock exchange. It's basically to connect social enterprises and impact investment. Now we have, the zero coupon, zero principal. That's just to give, for investors to give their donations to social enterprises. So now we have the regulatory system in place, and we hope we can learn from some of the experience. I know Brazil, you tried this out as a social stock exchange in Latin America first, and probably across the world. Didn't take off, but we need to actually refine it as we go forward and see how we can bring together scalable solutions from social enterprises, and at the same time investors who are with patient capital, who can take this forward and replicate. So that's just the basic, foundation of what we're going to build on. So during my talk, I want to touch upon three aspects. One is, of course, what Parul mentioned on the centrality of trade and investment and connectivity. And then, of course, since we have the UK representative here and the potential collaborations with UK, so we have something called as a triangular cooperation, where not just the South-South and North-South, we have a South-South and North-South collaboration with the help of a developed country, how we can bring in solutions to the developing economies. That, and lastly, the minister and everyone is constantly talking about the connectivity gap that we have with Latin America. So I would touch upon digital public infrastructure and the digital aspect of it, to bridge that gap initially at least, and then build on that physically later through more direct flights and better shipping links and such. So if whichever way you look at it, the overwhelming focus today is on the disruptions that are caused due to whether it is geopolitically or due to various other disruptions that we have seen both in the supply chain and the entire way in which business is being conducted through global value chains. So how do we, as we are building solutions, how do we ensure that we embed a crisis response network and some early warning system to ensure that whatever scalable solutions that we are building on gets that resilience that we talk about. So that's, as we go forward, we can discuss more on that. There are examples that we can build on. I would just, point a finger to this Indo-Pacific Economic Framework for Prosperity, under which there is a supply chain agreement between India and there are 14 other countries, led by the US, of course, but in the Indo-Pacific region. So we can look at that for possible solutions. If you look at India and Latin America, the trade, primarily it's on agriculture and commodities. Agriculture, which is, if you bring in social enterprises, it would be the food security aspect, then pharmaceuticals and other, medical tourism or whatever. So there is this health security. And then we also are looking at energy, just transition or green energy solutions, and manufacturing, which is Industry 4.0. And the last one is, of course, leveraging India's strengths on the IT and ITES enabled services, which is the just digital transition. Well, we could talk about that, and Minister in the morning she talked about the potential collaborations in AI and the Internet of Things, for which we need critical minerals. So that is something, the partnership in critical minerals and how we can leverage Latin America and India's connect there to build on using these critical minerals, how we can build these solutions. So that's something, again, during the course of this event, maybe on the trade segment we could talk about that. Since we, most of the people here are from the social enterprise segment, we're very familiar with the, the ESG guidelines, and of course, so whatever solutions that we are going to come up with in the trade field also will, I'm sure, be, based on higher standards on ESG. The other aspect is the regionalization of strategies. Latin America, like Parul was saying in the morning, so just now in his introductory remarks, you cannot see it as one whole region, and there are multiple countries. There are various regional organizations. You have Pacific Alliance, you have Mercosur, the Central American, CARICOM, CELAC. So and on top of that, we have in India we have connect through BRICS and the IBSA, India, Brazil, South Africa. And there is also discussions in the G20. So these are platforms and forums that we should look at for solutions. And the last two aspects is on the triangular cooperation and digital public infrastructure. On triangular cooperation, India's approach is basically it should be development cooperation, and it should not be the aid. It should be demand driven, and it should be to help bring local solutions, build local capacities. So under that, we already have examples that we can take from the UK. You have India has also taken the lead to build a global network of Exim Bank and development finance institutions, and then there are various partnerships, including in the field of health, knowledge partnerships, or research partnerships on food and nutrition, or on technology, and then there is this India-UK Global Partnership Program for Development. So there are various such platforms already built on which we can, bring in the Latin American angle as well. You should always remember that the potential is huge. India-Latin American trade is just around 50 billion, whereas China, it's 10 times more. So, with India being seen as a trusted and reliable partner in the China Plus One perspective, so I think there is scope for, scaling up. The last is on digital public infrastructure that, most of the audience is familiar with, because we know the details on the India stack and the open, interoperable, and consent-based system that we have in place, and it's already getting a lot of traction from countries across the world, particularly from the global south, to use that as a base and build solutions on that. Since being an open platform, that is possible. You could have further conversations on that. Even at the G20 level, it's going on. We have 3 big economies. So I would stop here. These are the broad, foundations that are already built, and we need not reinvent the wheel. I feel that we can, use these, build a repository of these solutions, and so that everyone's familiar, and then kind of build solutions. Thanks
Thank you
for
so
the
much.
opportunity.
No, that's really good, because you spoke about the public digital infrastructure, which is very important to build a nation, really, from today's perspective, and also the social stock exchange, because Mexico, started the whole thought process. And just to let you know that ABWCI is registered with the social stock exchange. So we are very proud. We were the third, first, and then we became the third, but we couldn't raise money, as such, to register in the social stock exchange as such. So, but it's really good, Arun, from the perspective, because I was just thinking when we were talking that, how do we remember Mexico? Mexico, we always remember of tequila. Okay, and when we started speaking on a call, he spoke about tequila. Then I said mezcal, tequila and mezcal. Similarly, on Chile, we always, as we think of Chile, we think of wine. The Chilean wine in India. So my Indian friends will always feel that, okay, tequila and mezcal and this wine and all that. But there's more to the whole Mexico story. So Ricardo, we want to hear, because you are also promoting a lot of tourism, trade between, South Asia and Latin America. What is missing? Because, I don't see, today we have, 17 or 20 Latin Americans here. I know there are somebody from Colombia and others are also here. But my thought process is that because the planes are working, everything is working very well, but why people are not traveling? And when I take this example of Italy, sorry, because I can't, think of the Italian story when it comes to tourism. They are earning, and an estimate, which is my estimate, there's no logical in terms of estimate by the World Bank or not, it's my estimate, is Italy is earning around $700 billion from only tourism. Okay, which is tourism and that kind of thing. So how this whole Italian story is much bigger than the story which is the Latam story. I think how can we work and create that Latam story much better, because this is how we can do, because when it comes to tourism, tourism also promotes trade. So we want to understand from you how we can help you and bring more Indians to the Latin America story.
Well, first of all, namaskar, good morning, buenos dias to the people that are coming all the way from Latin America. I hope the jet lag only takes a couple of days, so I hopefully after Friday it will be better. So thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much, Virginia, for this invitation, also Parul. When I was first invited to this forum, I was really excited to see a forum talking about India and Latin American trade, because as Arun already mentioned, the trade between our regions is 50 billion, but actually in the next year, the Indian government and also the Latin American governments, they want to increase this trade all the way to 100 billion. I have been participating in some forums where the Foreign Minister of India, Jai Shankar, has stated that there's a lot of potential in trade, and I think in a couple of years we can actually reach to this goal. So also when I was invited to this forum, the fact that you're also integrating the UK into this perspective, I think is really good, because if we see the bilateral agenda between our regions, like Latin America and India, and also the strategic partnership between the UK and India, that it was stated in 2021, the industries are almost the same. Of course, tourism is one of the major industries. So I think there's a lot of trilateral cooperation that can go through UK all the way to Latin America and vice versa. So talking about tourism, I think it's a big question. Nevertheless, we're reaching to that area. In Mexico, last year, 120,000 Indians went to Mexico. Touristmen, businessmen, and women, of course. And that data was actually double from the last year, from the previous year. A couple of new industries that we're looking into is the MICE tourism.
Yes.
So a lot of conferences have been going on in Cancun and some parts of the south of Mexico, and also weddings. So for the Indian culture and also for the Latin American culture, weddings are such a big thing. In Latin America, at least in Mexico, we don't take maybe 4 days for weddings.
No, we take 1 week.
But we take the whole evening. So it starts from 8 p.m. all the way to 4 a.m. So it's a massive thing. So the fact that Indian families are going to Latin American countries to celebrate their weddings, I think there's a lot of potential, because you don't only spend 1 day, you spend the whole week, and also you bring your families, and given that families here are so extensive as Latin America, I think there's a lot of potential there, and also connectivity. So unfortunately, right now we don't have like a direct flight between India and Latin America, but hopefully, so as you already know, last year there was a merger between one of the major Indian airlines that are Air India and also Vistara. So hopefully also with this merger, they can also, because we have been discussing this with them, and they want to actually operate a new flight all the way to Latin America. So hopefully we can start with this in the couple months. So connectivity is also really important, and of course missions, trade missions, tourism missions. So the fact that you're here present and you're participating with your stakeholders and you can actually see a lot of potential. I'm pretty sure that it won't be your first time here. You will travel a second time, a third time here. So it's really important to attract more trade missions here. I think Jorge also has this challenge that here in India there are so many events and there are so many meetings, and we invite people from our countries to come here, but to be honest, they don't actually come. They come to a couple, but the most important ones, sometimes they skip some of them. So that's something that we should work on it. And also, Latin American fairs are really important for Indian investors and Indian entrepreneurs to go there to see the landscape and to see how they can stretch the relationship there.
So thank you. I also, just wanted to let you know, last year I went to Mexico. So I was part of the 120,000, as all that. And there's a story because each evening I stayed for 7 nights, and each evening, where if you go to a bar, you can talk to anyone. It's not that, you are restricted. If I'm alone, I can just go and join any table and I can start speaking and they'll be with me. And that's what is Mexico. Because Mexico gives that kind of culture. Like Indians, you're always welcome. We will welcome you in our homes, in our society, community, and all that. So I never felt in Mexico that, that I was outsider. The only thing was that there's a whole temperamental thought process which you have to really work on. I'm saying when you said it's the whole country, is that, people scare you that you're going to Mexico, this will happen, there will be gangs, this is all that. I think we have to more work on the communication or to the people, to the tourists, because I was restricted after 8:39, I thought, but then I ventured out after that, I thought everything was fine. So I think Indians will work together with you to see that, we should feel both, because when you come from outside, I saw the list with grace came, don't eat this, don't do this, all this, which brings that kind of things, and I'm restricted to do all this. But India is not like that, or Mexico is not like that, which you can't do much. It's like great country. I think we should work together and bring that kind of value on this. So great. Now let's go to Chile, because it's the Chile time, Chile time. So, from your perspective, how are things and what are you promoting in South Asia? Okay.
Well, thank you so very much for having me. I think that I will start answering just by providing a little bit of a context on why I'm sitting here in front of you with a mic. On my past life, I used to work for the British government in Santiago. Okay. And then I switched parties and I went from working for the British in Santiago to work for the Chileans in London. And more or less a year ago, I met Jess in London, and it was about a few weeks before my departure from London to India. And I totally with you on the lack of information and the opportunity that we have in terms of building that gap, right, or decreasing that gap, because I was a little bit, not afraid, but, anxious of coming to India because of and the information that I had wasn't that much. And Jess came to me and said, Jorge, you're going to be fine. You want to find out that India and Chile, they have way more to offer. Why I bringing all of this to the table? Because of the title that we have behind, like Latin America, India, and UK. What do we have in common? Certainly not weather, because UK may have many things which are lovely, but weather is not one of them. So where do I see the connection between the three continents, right? Like Latin America, the UK, and India. When I worked for the British in Santiago, I had a regional position, so I got the opportunity to work with Latin American companies, Latin American entrepreneurs, from Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia, Peru, etc. and I found a lot of similarities. Chileans, we come from this 17 million population country. Picture this, Delhi has 30 million. So it's double my country. And then if you look across the Andes and you go to Argentina, one of the things that surprised me and I admire a lot is entrepreneurial mindset of Argentina. There are different ranks where they are super higher up. So what I'm trying to say is that Chile, because of the size of the economy, and Argentines, because of the mentality, they are born global companies, they're born global entrepreneurs. I mean, the main reason, the best example is that the delegation that is here is mostly Argentine. And that speaks a lot about the country. So moving forward, one of the things that I found was that when Chilean companies, and I'm sorry that I talk about Chile, but I happen to represent the country that you can see here on the flag, is that Chilean entrepreneurs, when they think about becoming international, they move to the Pacific Alliance, and you say that quite nicely. So they move to Peru, Colombia, and Mexico, right, in search of bigger markets. Europe is not at the top of the mind, or wasn't at the top of the mind, until recently. And as part of that, I started seeing companies moving from Chile to Europe. First of all, to Spain because of cultural connections, and then to the UK. I know I have a point. I promise. I don't want you to be bored about what I'm saying. But basically, the point is that I'm seeing that UK plays an important role on this triangle, on just being the connection between Latin America and India. You introduced Chile as being one of the, you talk about wine, you talk about tequila, and it's lovely, and that speaks a lot about the things that we have been doing and that we have been promoting. My predecessors, they did a fantastic job on positioning agricultural food. So whatever you are in a party or in a gathering, you can say this, 80% of the walnuts that you consume here in India come from this country.
Yes, yes.
And then also we hope to expand on cherries. Lovely, amazing, we have been a fantastic job, but there is way more to do. You asked my Mexican friend here about tourism. There is a huge opportunity there. And one of my goals as trade commissioner is to diversify what we are doing. And the main challenge is information. So one of the things that we are doing is we are trying to decrease that gap just by tackling the creative industries sphere. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to go to Indian producers and tell them, you know, there is a country which is called Chile. I know that is far away, but we have similar landscape. Come over, shoot films there, use Chilean locations. So in that way, you will get, of course, several incentives, so you can decrease the cost on shooting. But then what we are looking is a long-term relation, which is basically making Chile come in the map. Because when people think of Latin America, they think about Mexico. And don't take me wrong, I love Mexico. And Brazil. But Chile is like, you know, it's like the nerdy student, you know, who sit behind. So that's why we are trying to push the Chilean agenda, just by finding innovative ways of putting Chile on the agenda.
No, I think this is great that we are speaking about, because and chili and walnut, I'm telling you, on the whole aspect, I think you have to work with us, you know, more, because, you know, I have to promote more CBT, the cross-border trade between all these countries as such, and, you know, we have to promote delegations from India and South Asia to Chile and to Mexico and all that. So really great to hear. Now, because I know about the time, and Jessica will come and, you know, hound me. But, you know, the last, I'll give you 60 seconds to see that. What is your aspiration from a forum like this? Arun, let's start from you. Because the thing is, we are today, if you see, we are on a tri-sector. You will see here the government, the civil society, and the businesses together. No other forum across the world brings that kind of, you know, aspirations of this tri-sector. And we want to understand from you in 60 seconds, and you can make your thoughts, but we'll go to Arun to see, Arun, what is your aspiration from a forum like this? And then we'll sum up so that our other panels are not late. You have the mic.
Thanks, Parul. I think very, very interesting discussion. I think from this forum, this is a good beginning. I think you brought together an interesting mix of social enterprises. I'm sure there are some impact investors here, and the main issue here is the connectivity. I think that should not be seen as a huge hurdle that can't be overcome. So I feel that we should establish a digital connect first, and then work towards greater direct flight. But once that relationship matures, I'm sure there'll be a automatic demand for more direct flights, and whether if that matures further, then we can have shipping links and other things. The other aspect is, I think, the conversation sometimes with social enterprises goes down to the low value items. That's fine. That happens automatically. The idea is, how do you get into some of these emerging areas? The technology, high technology areas. There is potential. The generation that we have here, both in India and South America, fantastic solutions are coming out in all the advanced areas. So I think the focus has to be also, apart from the traditional sectors like textiles and the low value items, we should get into the high value, high tech segments. And this platform should promote that without a break. And the third thing is, of course, we need to actually have, for that political will to happen, we need to bring in constant communication channel with the political players as well, because if there are some possibilities of disruptions, we can always, that will help us find solutions, because you are talking about, at some level, some movement of people, professionals, so that should not be twisted politically to then have bring in more hurdles and then stop the connections. This is what I expect.
No, thank you so much. I'll just sum up in a second, is more important for, I feel, is aspiration is also human to human connect, because that's what is happening from this and thing. Kaustubhi, to you, and then we'll sum up. Yes.
Yeah, I think with all, as you mentioned, we have a very good amalgamation of the government, the industry body, the private sector here in this room, and I think there is a role for everybody to play here to bridge the gap and narrow down the gap between the Latin American and the Caribbean, India and UK. I think the first one I would like to talk about is, we can create high-level platforms, which are very sector-specific or theme-specific. It could be around climate tech, it could be around women entrepreneurs. So there are a lot of interesting networks in India to promote women investors and women entrepreneurs in the country. But do we have something similar in LAC and LAC, and have we ever collaborated for, let's say, mentor-mentee support, for in pitching programs, for let's say showcase of best practices, and I think India is already working a lot with several countries. They're working with 20 countries by creating international bridges, like the Invest India has created. But there is only one with one Latin American country, which is Brazil. What about the other 19? So there is a big scope to create international bridges with these nations alongside India. So that's the job government has to do. Industry bodies can play a very big role by curating very focused knowledge transfer visits, basically to promote knowledge transfers. I think that really worked when India and UK were establishing and deepening their relationships in the last few decades. That is something that has worked really well for us. I'll give an example. We had brought in assistive technology expertise, which even Mr. Rajesh Agarwal was talking in the morning session. We brought experts from UK to come and talk about how powerful and assistive technology can be for a youth with disability to access so many opportunities and to be part of the economic mainstream of the nation. So a lot of parents only don't know, what their children can do who have different disabilities. So we did these sessions in 11 cities in the country about 3-4 years ago, and that was actually very helpful. So if industry chambers and with government can host these through bilateral relationships, if they can host sector specific knowledge transfer sessions, that can be a game changer. Third thing I would like to say is, one more point. India and UK have also collaborated, for that trilateral partnership with Africa to promote economic and resilient growth in Africa. It can be also done with Latin America, which is already mentioned before. And yes, thank you.
Yeah, Kaustubhi, I just want to respond in a second because I'll not get a chance. All what you spoke about, this whole aggregation for women entrepreneurs, ABWCI is doing it, and our regional president of Latin America, Grace, is here. We are doing the same in terms of the mentors, connecting, success stories, all that. So we'll talk to you more on that, and we can build a big partnership with UK on that. Yeah, so great. So yes.
Yeah, my side is super short.
Yes, sure.
And if I can give you an advice is, there is a concept in the sociology literature which is called acculturación. And I believe that this is my advice to you. It's please do not use this trip as a one-stop shop. Work on the relations and the context that you have. Yes. And I know that 17 or 13,000 kilometers separate us, but keep those connections up and coming. And if you need any help, you have the Embassy of Argentina here, and I offer myself also to help you with that.
Yes, thank you. And that's why I'm saying we are connected by ocean, united by ocean. So ocean is all over and we are connected. So that's what we have to look at. Yes. Thanks for being short.
Also, one extra advice from myself is to keep organizing these kind of forums. I really congratulate ECOS for doing this, and also ABWCI for organizing this to not only increase trade, but also to push the social agenda, because a lot of these enterprises, they can really create innovative solutions. And one particular sector is the startup ecosystem. So both Latin America and India, we have a lot of startups from the fintech, agri-tech sectors. As my colleague from the UK was mentioning, the bridges. With Latin America, India only has with Brazil, especially with this initiative of Startup India, only has a bridge with the UK. So let's push it together and enhance this relationship with all our regions. So thank you very much.
So thank you so much. I think this was a brilliant plenary and also the panel. I'm sorry we were a bit delayed in the morning, so I always want to finish my this whole forum on my panel on time, but I think this was a bit delayed, so apologies for that. But thank you so much everyone, Arun, Kaustubhi, and also my friends from Chile and also from Mexico. So thank you so much. We'll have a group photograph and then maybe the plan is with you. Thank you.